Anxious for no reason.
No.
Oh, how are you?
Hello. Oh, this is good. Awesome. Right, I am going to need to just change some settings on these for some
The
reason.
Zoom's been messing with my settings.
Yes.
Every time I log in, something's changed.
No, it's yeah, Zoom's interesting at the moment, isn't it? It just
Going through a lot of it's got a lot of people using it, and then it's realising it's got to make changes.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like, oh my goodness, we need to fix that. So
Yeah.
So fun and games, but I'm glad we're getting there. Amazing. So we are chit-chatting today about natural skincare, right?
Yes.
Hey, Beth.
Beth tried to join last week and didn't manage. So I'm glad you made it today, Beth.
Yes, we're getting there. We've got different just like one thing after another, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
And we're just working out how to promote these and get people online with them. But we're recording every single one, so people can watch them after. So
yes. And then we're trying to work out between us how to download and
yeah. Oh, it takes ages sometimes.
Yes.
So natural skincare.
Natural skincare, amazing.
My favourite subject.
Yes. Do you? What I've done is I've got a little selection of things because I wanted to sort of show people what I actually use because I figured that would probably be useful. And so we hadn't got any questions that have come in. So guys, as you're on the call, please feel free to type in the chat box any questions you guys have got. Share what you're using, and we can give feedback. But Ruth, have you got any kind of pills?
I've got some things with me as well. I've got some unnatural skincare and some natural skincare that I use.
Nice.
All my life, I've been using things that were not particularly natural.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether that has any detrimental effect on the skin. But the more you look into it and realise, like this, for instance, I actually like it because I trust it and it doesn't irritate my skin. So I kind of relied on it more recently. I've had horrible stuff like E45 and aqueous cream. Paraffin is not something you would eat. So would you put it in your skin? And then you start to wonder what gets absorbed, what goes in through you. Does it go inside you? Does your body like use that paraffin in any way, because you just think you're moisturizing, but yeah. So I do use more natural stuff now, like Barman's and lion's leaf. I've got a couple of them here, and I use aloe vera as well.
Yeah.
Tea tree oil is a bit harsh for some people, but
yeah, I think the key thing, I suppose, is that we are all individual, and I get clients that will come and talk to me and they're just like, oh, I don't tell you what I'm using, and it's like, oh my, goodness, once upon a time, everything I was using was not natural, and you can't just immediately make those changes because we've got to take it slowly but surely. So like for you right now, you're still, it's like epiderm, I'm feeling good with that, right? These things are formulated with the sole purpose of supporting the skin, but when you're taking a holistic journey, we're not just focusing on the skin, so they do support the skin. That's exactly what you're finding, right? And that's exactly what I found when I was using Unguentum Merc, or Unguentum M, I think now it's called, E45, Vaseline.
That was awful. E45 and aqueous cream were terrible for me and just made my skin worse.
Yeah, aqueous cream has had very mixed scientific information on it, and it came out, and I can't remember the details of this, and I probably should have a look into it, but there was some very sort of damning scientific
stuff. I read that too, and I think they then came back and said, oh, it's meant to be a wash-off product, not a leave-on product, or was prescribed as a leave-on product. So, and it is so cheap, I think that's why you get prescribed it.
Yeah, it's one of the first things, wasn't it? Historically, it was one of the first things that you got given. And then it's like, oh, hold on, bad. Probably shouldn't have been doing that.
Well, it might be okay for some people, but it's got preservatives in it, and I tried lots of things, and this was the one I ended up with because it doesn't have SLS and preservatives, and it's nearly empty, but it's a
Yes.
it's a like an emollient rather than a cream. So anything that's white and water based, I quite often have a problem with.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have to add preservatives to that. Anything water-based is going to be a breeding ground for bacteria and everything, isn't it? And I never really, when you start to look into these things, you never actually understand. It's like, I need something natural. It's like, well, hold on. If it's got water in it, we need to put a preservative in it. Even something natural still has to have a preservative. If somebody's making it for you, they've got to preserve it in some way so that bacteria doesn't grow.
It should be worse.
And it does. That's just what it does, right? Bacteria just grow.
But then I wonder how hygienic this is. Like, I mean, it's only me using it, but in, out, and I sometimes don't put the lid back on. Is that a bit disgusting? But
no, I know exactly what you mean, and I had the same with the Unguent Men. That was like a big tub, and you were always recommended, oh, take a little spatula and take it
but
out.
who does that on a daily basis?
So.
But this is useful as well. What I do is I use this like a natural thing on like really bad bits, and then I just use the Epiderm on top. And I'm trying to wean myself onto just using the natural skincare, but when you're using a lot of it, that can become quite expensive as well.
Yeah, it took it took me a good number of years before my skin was able to recover, I suppose is the best phrase I can use. And I didn't I kind of, the first step I did was to introduce more natural skincare. So my sort of first step was to move away from the pharmaceutical stuff, things you get on prescription. And I found a brand called Green People here in the UK.
Oh yeah, they're good.
And I really their products really seem to work for me. And so
their shampoo.
Yes, yeah. So I use their shampoo. So the only thing that goes on my face is I'm now on the anti-aging.
Oh no, you don't do that. Is that why you look so young?
I know. I'm like, oh, it seems to be working. Okay. But yeah, that's like the first step up. I was using the like teenage stuff for a while. I was like, I can't get away with this now. I'm in my 30s. So I moved to the anti-aging. So anti-aging facial oil. It's rosehip and avocado oil. And
interesting.
All that's
got rosehip too.
Yeah, it's a really nice one actually. The first ingredient is sunflower seed oil. We've got sunflower seed oil, jojoba oil, sweet almond oil, thistle seed oil, rosehip oil, avocado oil, and then some essential oils. Rose geranium, which is really good for skin, rosemary, and vitamin E. And then you've got your typical kind of more, I suppose, as natural as you can probably get, preservatives, right? I think it's geraniol. The list of ingredients and how you pronounce them is by linalool.
Yeah.
It would sound like a word.
Limonene.
Limonene, yeah, that's the one. And then citronellol.
Yeah, this one's really similar, this product.
Oh, which one's that? I recognise that.
This is Barmond's rosehip oil, which they really kindly sent me this. And it's really similar, but it's based on a grapeseed oil is the main ingredient.
Yep, so grapeseed oil and sunflower seed oil, two very nice oils for maintaining the lovely lipid layer of our skin. So we need, we have different types of fats in our skin, and we need to have these good fats in there to actually moisturize. Okay, and so
I feel like it will last me actually, because you don't need much oil.
No. That little bottle is 30 mils, and that will last me around 3 months.
Wow, yeah.
And I put that on just first thing in the morning and just before I go to bed. So I do it twice a day. That's my this is my moisturizer, guys. That's it.
Lovely.
That's it.
That's all you use. So I'm using this at the moment, but then I reach for this sometimes. I think I might be addicted to Epiderm as well. But I just.
Yeah,
I'm getting there, but I get such, I think the epiderm kind of just makes me feel safe,
yeah.
and I, because I've used it for so long, but I was working out how much I use, and it's going down because now it's all recorded in my patient access thing. I was getting through at the start 2 tubs a week, and I'm not even joking, but I was washing with it then as well, so I was using it as a cleaning. Then I was using 2 a week, and now I think I'm down. It kind of went down on a scale like that, and I'm using, I reckon, one a month. They
That's
give
a
me,
big drop.
it's a big drop. They give me, I get 2 a month just because it saves me money that way. If I get one, I get 2.
Yeah.
But I've only been using, so I've got them all around the house. So I now, I'm not sure how many. I've got one in the bedroom, one in the office downstairs. I've lost track a bit, but definitely gone down massively.
That's a big shift.
Drop.
And so yeah, you just have to keep going that way, and then just try and slowly incorporate more natural. And as I say, so you've got sunflower seed oil, grapeseed oil. I try and advise people to maybe not go towards the olive oil. The reason being, again, because science is coming out all the time, and they look at these different things. But I was at a skin conference last year and listening to somebody who specializes in like making creams and moisturizers and mixing these products. Absolutely fascinating, because when somebody who's like so in the detail, it's just like, man, their brain is amazing. But she was talking about because we kind of look at it and go, well, olive oil, that's natural, right? So that's a good thing. And that's one of the things that I used to say, well, yeah, it's one ingredient, simple,
Like coconut oil, people say to use, don't they? Or shea butter.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like one ingredient, awesome, let's use it. But science, as they've looked at it, what they can see is the skin. We've got like the skin cells, and then we've got like these layers of kind of fat around, that's kind of like the bricks and mortar. So you've got the different layers of skin, they kind of build on top, and that's what we see kind of shedding. In between all those skin cells, we've got a little mortar, and that's made up of different kinds of fat. So you've got cholesterol in there, you've got
is filaggrin one of them? Filaggrin.
No, it's 3 different types of fats. That is something else. Hold on, where is it? So we've got cholesterol, ceramides, and fatty acids. And so those 3, when you look at them from a molecular structure, there's like a little head on them, and then there's these little tails, which makes them fats. Basically, that's the structural structure of these fats. The tails are straight, so that like they can all line up neatly next to one another, and then they create a nice little barrier, basically. Now, when we put olive oil in there, olive oil, which is an oleic acid, typically has these, they don't have straight tails on them, they have these like wavy tails. So naturally they start to push apart the other fat molecules. And so what they've noticed with olive oil is they show that it increases water loss in the skin rather than fixing the skin barrier, which was really interesting. When I was looking, I was like, oh, that makes sense, because it's not allowing these little fat molecules to properly line up and form a nice barrier for us, basically.
Well, I've used it and thought, oh no, it doesn't feel nice, and just not used it again.
Yeah. So
in my ears as well, they tell you to put it in your ears, don't they? And I had a real problem with eczema in my ears, and I don't think the olive oil was helping, but this does, the rosehip oil.
Yeah, interesting. So sunflower oil, that's got those straight little tails. Grapeseed oil, yeah. So that's
like glycerin, and they're all in skincare products, aren't they? Like have they got glycerin in these ones? I haven't got ingredients on them.
No, I don't think this one doesn't have glycerin in it.
Beeswax, this one is.
Yeah, beeswax again. So I know Bauman's they've got beeswax in their skin salvation as well. Another good skincare product as well. So,
lanolin, they can. I get irritation from that, definitely.
Yeah, some people. For me, it's not an irritant, but for a lot of people, it is. And again, this is why it's like trial and error, I suppose, with a lot of these products. So it can become costly.
But then it could be something else, 'cause you don't know. I mean, look at all the ingredients and I'm deciding that it was lanolin on something. It might not have been.
Must have been that.
Because that's the problem, even with something lovely and natural like these oils that both of us use, they might not work for someone else because you can be sensitive to just one thing in there.
Yeah, exactly. Especially essential oils as well. So, you know, we've got to really be careful with those sort of using and trying those essential oils, I suppose, because they're very powerful and they can be too much for people. So yeah, it is going to be sort of trial and error. So as you're starting out on this journey, I always encourage people to just try a little bit, see how you go, just do as simple as possible. And you can always get like an individual oil and just add a little bit of essential oil if you want to experiment with those kind of things.
It's so hard to try things though, because over the years I've tried so many things, most of which haven't worked, and you not only have you wasted money, but you had some trauma, and then just become too scared to try things. But yeah, I'm glad I did try this, because other oils like grapeseed oil as well, I know that's a good for a massage, but I don't feel particularly moisturized after that. I feel like it's lovely having a massage, but it's not the best thing for my skin on its own.
No. And as I say, that whole process is still, you know, you're in that healing process now where your skin's like, hey, we've not quite fixed yet, so I need a little bit more support. And that's where I say, this goes on my face, it doesn't go anywhere else on my body. Nothing goes anywhere else on my body. I don't put anything on.
That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. So it took a long time to get there, but you know, it's totally possible for the skin to recover. But you're totally right, the whole trauma. I mean, oh my goodness, when I was a teenager, you go around shows or whatever it was, and people would be like, oh my goodness, look at your hands, I've got just the cream for you. And I'd literally want to just punch them, because just be like, no, get away from me, you know, like.
Well, they're trying to put it on you as you walk past. You're like, get that back off. Don't want it.
Yeah. So it's, you know, and it's still, I kind of, it took me a long time to realize, I suppose, that people were trying to help, or they were coming at it from I think this could help you. But when you've been so traumatized by these, just trying different things, and yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. I was very fearful of trying anything.
Kind of preyed on almost. They're looking at you thinking, oh, this will cure your skin. No, it won't. The other thing that I find is the aloe vera, which I mentioned earlier. Now, that on its own, again, is not good enough for my skin. But when I have, like, my wrists aren't bad at the moment, but they completely break out and it will be weeping and oozing. And to stop my skin from infection, I will put this on. This has got tea tree in it. It does sting when I put it on. But then I bandage it up and it really helps it heal. Whereas if I leave it open, it's just getting sticky on all my clothes and horrible. But this creates like a layer, having read about aloe vera and tea tree, and I think it just helps reduce infection. I wouldn't use that as a general moisturizer.
No, I'm with you on that one.
It helps me if I've got a nasty infection.
Yeah. No, I think with like the aloe vera, it is great from a burn perspective, just from a soothing perspective and things like that. But yeah, I'm totally with you. It felt like it dried my skin out.
Yeah,
so I think it's really good for oozing eczema. It kind of stops the ooze. But yeah, it's not generally moisturizing.
No, I don't find it is. Probably the opposite actually, but it's got quite amazing properties.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna just pick on something you said there, because I don't know whether you have the same thing. So the stinging sensation when you put something on that stings, do you have this kind of like weird like satisfaction?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's weird that I know the difference, but sometimes it's bad stinging, and I'm like, get that off. And other times I know that this is just tea tree and aloe vera, so I know what it is. But yeah, it's satisfying in a kind of like, I wait and then it goes. I just have to hold it, bandage it, and be like, oh, and then it goes away.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's an odd sensation, but there are certain things like if I have like a cut or an open wound, then my go-to is my Weleda, So
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
this. So that, I don't know whether you guys can see.
Is that
So
called skin food or something?
no, not the
No.
skin food. It's hypercal wound salve, which has lanolin in it. So this is not good for anybody that doesn't like lanolin. But the herbs that are in here, calendula and hypericum. So it's calendula or St. John's wort. So the common name for hypericum is St. John's wort. Those two in combination, so I know there's a Helios brand in the UK, they do the same combo without the lanolin in there, for anybody who is not liking lanolin, or is vegan, you know.
Yeah, like it's from sheep, isn't it? Sheep.
Yes, yeah, it is sheep's wool. Yeah. Which we can see why, you know, if you we can see why it might be a problem.
Calendula is meant to be good for eczema, isn't it?
What is meant to be good?
Calendula.
Oh yeah, calendula. Again, like marigold, basically. So marigold flowers.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have to grow some marigolds in my garden. Not that I would ever make skincare, but
no. But
I like the idea. I like the idea of trying to do it one day.
Exactly. You can also harvest the flowers. You can make them into tea.
Oh yeah.
You can do all sorts of things. But yes, marigolds basically.
Mm.
Those two in combination, beautiful for healing, like cuts and wounds and you know, anything, even if for anybody that's not got eczema.
I've got castor oil as well, which I mean, I did actually try lots of different things on my skin when it was really bad, and a mixture of castor oil and zinc oxide, that was quite good at healing up wounds as well. I think again because it's quite drying, but apparently castor oil helps your eyebrows grow back too, so I've been putting some on my eyebrows and I think they are slowly growing back. They're growing out like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have massive bushy eyebrows when they grow back.
Like a little professor at university.
But that's really weird stuff, that castor oil mixed with zinc. If anyone does that, I would really urge caution because it made such a mess. If you get it on anything, it just can't be cleaned up. It's disgusting. So make it in a pot and keep it the lid on. Yeah,
it's an interesting oil, that one.
It's really kind of viscous and sticky.
Yeah. So from a naturopathic perspective, for like menstrual cramps and things like that, castor oil packs can be really good at like calming inflammation, reducing pain and things like that. So that's something that is often recommended. It's not something I've ever done myself, to be perfectly honest. So I'm much more comfortable talking and recommending things that
you've tried
myself. It's just I've never tried that. I don't know, it's just really messy.
Well, it is. And people used to drink it, didn't they?
Yes.
I'm not sure I would want to do that, but I wouldn't want to drink a mouthful of any oil, particularly.
No.
I tried oil pulling once.
Yeah.
Than that.
No, but I've heard.
Very peculiar experience, and I didn't really like it, and I thought I'm probably not going to keep this up.
Yeah.
But you basically put some coconut oil. I used. You put some in your mouth, and it seemed to just grow, and you're supposed to kind of like slosh it around like you would gargle, but not swallow it. So you're kind of like doing that, and it just seemed to explode and get bigger and bigger and bigger in my mouth. And you're not supposed to spit it straight out, but I found it really difficult to do. You don't want to swallow it.
No, it's supposed to be very good. So when we were learning about that, it's about drawing like heavy metals and toxins out from the mouth area. So really recommended for like oral hygiene and things, because that, coconut oil has got really good antimicrobial properties. So understandable.
Really weird, and maybe I just needed to start with less, but
yeah, I've heard that it's a bit weird. It's probably something that I really should try.
Yeah, well, that's what I kept thinking. But I think it's something you've got to persevere and keep doing to see if there's any benefit to it.
And you have to do it for a long time as well. Like when I'm reading it, it's sort of like 10 minutes or something. I'm like, oh
yeah,
geez,
really long time, and you're like, spit it out.
Yeah, it's not
Can't do it.
I go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying I couldn't do it.
No, I have a bit of a natural, some things I have like a natural aversion to, and I kind of feel like when you have that, just honour how you're feeling about something in a way. Like sometimes it's like, no, I think I really just need to try this, and then there's something voice inside me going, yeah, but I don't know. Don't think that's
Like,
helpful.
a bit like aloe vera juice, which people are always telling me that I should have. I find that really unpleasant as well. The taste. I know you can get flavored ones, but
yeah, but then
it's another thing that you end up having to keep having.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like that either.
No. And it goes back to what we've been talking about before, right? You know, anything that you have to keep having is not fixing any issue. So, you know, the creams, the aim is to eventually not need them. And the body can self-moisturize. But yeah, oh man, crazy. The other thing I bought along is my skin brush.
Yeah.
Because this has been really helpful for me with helping to self-moisturize and get my skin back to doing what it should be doing. So typically when we're dealing with eczema and when we've had a lot of years of pharmaceutical products, maybe steroid use, things like that, the skin is damaged. You know, we can see the skin's damaged. It can't manage, it can't self-moisturize itself because the actual creams that we're using are actually blocking the chemical processes in our skin to self-moisturize and keep it nice and plump, right? So that's why we keep feeling the need to slather on these creams. We do become addicted to them because literally we've killed our body's ability to do it for itself. So my first step was I need to get circulation back to the area and I need to support my body to get rid of the dead skin. So when we're putting that moisturizer on, what's happening is we're not allowing the dead skin to slough off like it would for somebody without eczema. I can never say that word. Slough off.
That's me. My skin is sloughing off on a massive scale at the moment.
So you got the opposite problem. It's just like it can't stop, right? But if somebody's not going through TSW and we're just dealing with eczema, you want to start with your skin brushing to try and help encourage that dead skin to come off slowly but surely. It's going to increase circulation to the area, bring blood flow to the area, which brings nutrients to the area, which nutrients are going to be fixing things. So that's what we need.
So how do you do it? Can you demonstrate?
Yeah, so I typically do like little circular motions. And so I'll just be doing little circular motions and I work my way up my arm basically. And so
I've been just like scrubbing away with my
well this is what typically happens because we are notoriously,
it's quite nice to have a bit of scratch while you're doing it.
Exactly.
Not supposed to be doing that.
There's a fine line between basically using it as a piece of sandpaper and which I have done before, you know, those skin like the foot sandpaper things. I've been there, done that kind of hurts. It feels good in the instance.
It does, and actually though, the pain is better than the itch. That's the horrible thing about eczema.
Yeah, exactly.
The damaged skin and the pain, although you feel horrible for doing it, it's easier to deal with pain than it is to deal with the itch in a horrible way.
Yeah, totally. I think that's what a lot of people don't necessarily understand, because especially if you're living with somebody who's going through this, you're like, man, what are you doing? You know, and you end up hiding and doing something. It's because you actually feel better, and then feel guilty, or you know, like it's like this is not good. But yes, we're not
from the bottom inwards.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're trying to draw so lymphatic fluid is our waste disposal fluid basically. So the blood brings the nutrition to the cells, the lymphatic fluid takes the waste away from every single one of our cells. Okay, so when it's fixing, when each cell is like repairing, doing its general, we're creating energy. All of those actions in every single cell will create acidic waste. It creates acid. So what the body does is it puts it back in the lymph fluid, takes it away. So dry skin, our lymph fluid isn't moving, so we want to start from the fingertips and brush down back up into the core of the body, bottom of the feet upwards towards the legs basically. Body, there's different schools of thought with regards to like where from a lymphatic drainage perspective. So there is, when you look this up online, you're not going to get like, this is the way that you do skin brushing. The way I do it is up my arms, up my legs, and then it's kind of a free for all on the body, basically. However I feel, because who knows what the right answer or wrong answer is, basically. So all I do know is that my one rule is to go like, if you're looking at somebody, you want to go clockwise around the stomach. So I'm going to stand up. So you want to go with the digestive flow, right? So
Okay.
down, up and down. So that's the way you want to go around the belly, basically. To go with the digestive flow of things.
Clockwise. So if I'm looking ahead of me at a clock,
yeah,
I would do it that clockwise for me.
So you want to, so on the,
or is my tummy the clock?
Your tummy's the clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite confusing.
Left or right? Hold on. So I'm starting on this side of my body, which is my right side of my body.
Yeah.
And I'm going up, across, and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Clockwise.
Left and right was never my strong point when I was a child. Lots of things. I could do lots of things, but you know that's very confusing. So that's my one thing that I kind of suggest for people to do. If you're going through TSW, you're shedding a lot. Just be very careful. You know, if you're oozing with that shedding, you want to really kind of avoid and be very gentle if you are doing any skin brushing around those areas, because if it's oozing, that's a sign of repair.
Yeah, it also feels a bit unhygienic. So do you wash your body brush?
So I will basically, because I'm doing it literally on dry skin, I will basically clean it ever so often. So you can put it in some water with some lemon juice and it will naturally kind of pull out whatever is in the bristles. And soak it. That will clean it. And then,
because I bought another one, I got rid of mine because it was one of the things I scratched with. So I got rid of all horrible combs that I had. I had to change all of my pens, and I've just found some that remain. So any pen lids that you could scratch with, I just gave them away, and I only now buy pens that have got like nice unscratchy lids, things like that. I just chucked it all away.
Lengths you go to. Really.
I couldn't avoid going and finding these things to scratch with. It's so itchy.
Yes. So hopefully that.
I've bought another one. I've bought a new one, and hopefully I'm gonna remember. I just need to start remembering to do it because I keep forgetting once it's in my routine. Yeah,
it's just getting used to it. Don't do it too much. You don't want to, and this is the fine line between scratching with it and actually doing skin brushing.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself, and I've done this before, where it's like, oh yeah, that actually feels really good, and you really go in, especially when there's a lot of dead skin somewhere, and it goes from, I'm just going to encourage circulation and lymph flow to, I'm going to get rid of all of this dead skin on here.
Yeah.
You can never, it's only your internal workings that can smooth out the skin. So just pay attention to that. I'd say, you know, maybe do it every other day as you kind of get started. You don't really need to do it every day, because again, that can almost, your body is like, awesome, don't need to do that job. I've got something external coming in and taking the skin off, so I can just forget about that job. So I typically don't do it every day, personally. Normally a couple of times a week now is when I would do it. My other thing is Dead Sea mud.
Mud. Oh. So
this is something I was very, very fortunate when I was a teenager. To raise money for the National Eczema Society in the UK, they organised a bike ride in Israel, and we finished at the Dead Sea, basically at this little spa thing at the Dead Sea. And having cycled 300 kilometres to get there, my skin was not in the best shape, shall we say.
No, sweating dust on that. Oh,
it was not great. And I knew, obviously, we finished there because the benefits of Dead Sea water is, you know, renowned for eczema. However, I got into the Dead Sea, I would say just below my knees, before I felt like I'd been set on fire and had to run back out again, because it was so salty. It was so painful. If any of you guys have ever used like salt in the bath water with open wounds, you know the pain.
The only place I had it was here. I know my neck was the first bit to go bad. I couldn't put my neck in when it was bad. It just really stung, but the rest of me was kind of okay.
Yeah, but if you've got like little openings, sweating, oh man, so painful. And what they did have instead, once I'd found an actual water shower, because all the showers were salt water as well, so I couldn't even find a shower. Like, running around like a crazy person. They had big vats of this mud, basically. So covered myself in this mud, just lay in the sunshine to bake, as we've got some nice weather in the UK at the moment.
That sounds amazing, actually.
It does not sting. It's kind of weird but it's really cooling. So if you've got like highly inflamed skin, it can be very cooling. Very, very high in mineral content, so really nourishing as well. And yeah, you just leave it to dry on the skin, then wash it off.
Do you do like a face pack, or do you?
Yeah. Oh, I'd got a swimming costume on. It went everywhere on me.
Do you still use it?
Ever so often. So now what I will do is typically use it on my face. That's it. But yeah, it's something that was very soothing when my skin was really, really sore. And another option, if mud might be too messy for you, kids kind of love the mud actually, and if you can cope with the mess at home, that could be something you might want to bring in, you know, for the kids, especially if the eczema's kind of dry and things like that. But other option, seaweed, so dried seaweed powder. You can mix that with a little bit of water into a thick paste, pop that on the face. Loads of nutrients in there, lots of it's anti-inflammatory as well, so it's going to calm the skin down. So that's another one that I used to use to naturally calm the skin.
I have got some Rassel clay.
Yeah,
is that similar to the
mud? Similar to the mud. Yeah, definitely.
That was good. I used that. I think I was going through topical steroid before, but didn't realise. And it was probably about 8 years ago that I had that. When I first started blogging, I wrote a blog about it, and I was washing my hair with it because I was trying to find, my scalp was so bad. My scalp was awful. I couldn't use any shampoo. It was just like horrible. So I made shampoo out of it. So you just mix this clay with water and kind of massage it into the roots. It doesn't feel like you're washing it like normal shampoo. But it worked quite well. And then use this apple cider vinegar and warm water to wash it out. But again, it was quite messy and quite fatty. But I found that the other day and I thought, I should try that again. It is completely natural and very, very soothing. And you can wash with it as well. I think the women in Africa, where it originates from, would use that to wash their whole body. Like you did with the Dead Sea mud as well. It's quite cleansing.
Yeah, really cleansing. Most clays that you can get as well. If there's different companies around that sell kind of like cleansing clays and stuff like that, you can put them in the bath. Very cooling and calming. So good for high inflammation, I suppose. So where it's like really red and hot, it's really going to cool things down.
And what about for washing with and like soaps and stuff?
So yeah, I mean, again, we want to look for as natural as possible. You want to really avoid foaming things, basically. So foaming, just
so liquid foaming things, not good.
No,
I usually have a bar of soap.
So anything that typically foams is going to kind of break down that very delicate skin barrier. So it actually increases moisture loss, which is what we're trying not to do, right? We're trying to keep the moisture in the body. And so the foaming cleansers are not going to be helping us do that. It's going to be encouraging moisture loss. So we want to
Yeah.
stay clear of those. So even soaps, to be perfectly honest, because obviously they have like a natural kind of foaming action. For me, soap is a no.
I don't use it much, just armpits. That's probably the only place that soap goes. I just wash myself in water.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, me too.
And because I've got like all the emollients on at the moment, usually I'm washing myself in this. I'm not putting it on because I've got it on, or other emollients. That kind of works as a soap.
Yeah.
I don't put anything else. So I do, especially because if I've been for a run, I do use soap under my armpits.
Yeah,
but
under your arms.
I don't put any soap down there.
No.
No. Just hot water.
Yes, clean water does a great job. Anything that's got detergents in it, anything that, oh my goodness, a lot of these products.
So bubble baths, I've never been a big fan.
No, again, foaming, right? It's generally got sodium lauryl sulfate in it or something like that, which is going to break down our skin barrier, our natural barrier, and we're then going to be more sensitive to other things.
A lot of people can tolerate them though, so do they just have stronger skin than us? Or
who knows?
Well,
But
my mum loves those bath bomb things.
Yeah, I know. But the thing, like my my hubby, for example, he's got beautiful skin, but a short period of time using some of those cheap products, and he's like, "Oh, I'm itchy,"
Stuff.
So eventually, it's like it builds up to a point where you start to notice a bit of a difference, and yeah, like you say, hotel cheap stuff.
Yeah,
he comes back from places. He's like, "Oh, I've bought all the stuff from the bathroom." I'm like, "Oh,
put it in the bin.
Stop it!"
Sometimes it's nice stuff, but not very often. Not very staying places I can afford, like holiday. Oh, you can't nick it from most places now because it's on the wall, isn't it? And it just
exactly. Yeah, they've changed it, so it's like.
I don't use that. I just take my own. If I don't take my own, if I've forgotten, it's not good.
No, exactly. So yeah, traveling historically for me was a nightmare because you've got to make sure you've got enough cream for the amount of days that you're doing, etc. And you can't do a carry-on because I can't get all of my stuff in that little blinking plastic bag.
No.
Not a problem anymore because that's all I need.
And you need hardly any. You could get a tiny little container for it.
Yeah, like little 5 ml of that.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to take much.
I'm good for a month.
Yeah. And that's what I want to aim for because all my life I haven't felt like I could do things like anything that comes up in any there's going to be swimming involved, and so I'm panicking about that. A spa day, I have to have a little tub of cream in my dressing gown pocket with me at all times because I can't just go in the sauna or the pool without being able to moisturize afterwards. Anytime you've got a boyfriend and they suggest going in the shower, you're like, oh, hang on a minute. Well, you need to let me moisturize. It's just like nothing is simple, and everything is kind of got this fear element in it.
Yeah, there's a very much like I suppose like a planning. We learn to plan, and what I notice as well, because I was just like, oh, maybe that's just my personality type, because I'm not spontaneous. I find spontaneity very difficult, and I just wondered whether that's kind of how I naturally was, or have I just evolved? Is this an adaptation because of?
I think I am quite a spontaneous person.
Would you like to, like, is it
and
like,
I would love to be more spontaneous. Like I will just, and I often regret it. Sometimes I'll just leap in a river and then be like, shit, I haven't got anything moisturizer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to be, and I think it's almost making me not be who I normally naturally would be.
Yeah. And I think it's a very a common trait that I see developing in like toddlers. So some of the young kids that I work with, where their parents are just like, oh man, they're quite controlling, and I'm like, I kind of almost feel like, is that coming because they're becoming more aware of
this hurts, that hurts, that hurts, that hurts, and you don't want it to hurt, do you?
No, and I would always say, you know, oh, I can't do that because of my skin, or you know, if somebody spontaneously says that, I'd make, it's not like necessarily making up, but I'd always have like a response handy for getting out of a situation where it could be questionable and I might come out feeling more uncomfortable.
Or getting stuck in the rain and
oh god, no.
getting wet. My skin, if it's under wet clothing, is just
painful.
Something horrible happens. It goes like a massive bruise and it's itchy and painful. It just goes black. My skin goes bruised and horrible. It's just really painful.
Yeah.
Hopefully won't be like that either one day.
No. It's like little baby steps. We'll get there.
Oh, it's so much better, I think.
Yeah. It is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating, just the journey that we get to go through. And my vision was always, or my aim, I suppose, like my aim was, I do not want to have to rely on cream for the rest of my life. And it was so freeing.
I was thinking about this the other day. A lot of my friends they haven't got eczema, they've got what I would say good skin, but they do have quite a strict skin regime, especially if we wear makeup. It's then remove the makeup, with a cleanser, then a toner, then a moisturizer, and I can't use toner. The first time I ever used it, I was like, oh no, that's not happening again.
No, and you know, we've made this whole industry, right? And oh my goodness, the amount of people that think that their skin is good, but are using all of these products that are completely unnecessary, really. And I mean, I don't wear makeup. You know, maybe a special occasion, but good lord, it's pain, you know. Just like, oh,
if I'm wearing mascara or an eyeliner, then it's a very special occasion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I say makeup, that means putting a bit of eyeliner on and maybe mascara, but that's but yeah, I don't cleanse, tone and moisturize. I wash my face with water and put my little oil on. That's it. Oh, and I use some essential oil. So I've got like an essential oil roller ball that has got things like frankincense in it, rose.
A deodorant.
So that's for like just like around the eye area that I'll use. So that's like again more anti-aging kind of like essential oils really, but that's all I use. Deodorant, I don't use a deodorant because I no longer smell. That's the other thing for detoxification. Don't need a deodorant.
I've got this salt deodorant. I definitely have noticed that I smell different. Yeah. Like if I've been for a run and I sweat, I do smell.
Because that's toxicity and coming out. So that's, you know, you want to get that all out there. But the cleaner the human body, sweat doesn't smell. Sweat does not smell. So yeah, and
I've got a salt thing at the moment. It's like a crystal salt.
Yeah,
that seems to work quite well.
Yeah, that's a really good step in the right direction. And for a while I used, again, Green People, because I use a lot of their stuff actually. Green People have a probiotic. Is it probiotic deodorant? So it's got kind of good bacteria in there to counteract the smell. So I used those for a while. Have used the crystals, but I found that the probiotic was better for me. But I went very much through a phase during when I was doing heavy detox of smelling really offensive, and you're just like, oh, I can't go out, this is horrendous, you know, and I'd have to use a lot of deodorant. But that passes, you know. Again,
I went through that, like, just why, like, I have a shower of it, why do I still smell?
Yeah.
I think people often talk about that topical steroid withdrawal smell, and I don't know if it's the ooze or that kind of dampness that comes out. So I would say I'm not oozing now, but I get like a dampness. It's weeping, but gently, rather than the really horrible ooze that I had before. So I can get a tissue and it will stick there.
Yes.
Feel like that and it will stay there. And it's not sweat.
Yes, yeah. It's like I've not done any exercise, so it's not
No,
that.
but it's getting better.
Good.
I don't want to tempt fate.
No.
And the other thing that I did today was I went for a UVB therapy again. Now I'm not sure about the science behind that, but they're offering me that on the NHS, and it's now starting again because lockdown's been lifted a bit. But I was the only person in the hospital, so you go there, get your ear temperature checked, and you're only allowed in if your temperature's good. Mine was too low. I said, why are you so cold? It was something like
because we're working on my thyroid gland.
it was 36.1.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you shouldn't be that cold. I had a jumper on and everything. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too hot, so you can let me in.
Yeah,
There's
there's
no one
nothing
else
on there for too low, but yes, that's typically if anybody else has that, because obviously I think there's going to be a lot of temperature checking that might, so great indicator for how well your thyroid's functioning, basically. So if we're a little bit too low, we know we need to work on that thyroid.
Oh, really?
Yes. So when we were talking about herbs last week, is nettle one of them? Yeah, it's for thyroid, right? So.
I don't know why, because I was hot in my car because my air conditioning seems to be working, but
it's
cooled down.
TSW typically it's all over the place. So it's not like things are just under functioning. So it's almost like the glands are just confused, basically. It's like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So you're going to notice that, again, TSW, you might have your temperature checked and somebody will be like, no, you're too hot, you've got to So you're going to go both ways, basically, at the moment.
Lovely.
Yeah. So just
I was trying to calm myself down beforehand, and I'm perimenopause as well, so that's another thing in the mix.
Just add something else.
Well, they're not too bad. I feel like that's almost the sweats, the hot flushes are dying away. But I've been perimenopausal for about 2 or 3 years, so I might be getting through it.
Yeah.
People say, no, you're too young. No, I don't have periods, so I'm definitely perimenopausal.
But that is an interesting thing, because that could possibly be part of
Could
TSW.
it? That's horrible, isn't it? That's awful if steroids can make your periods stop.
Yeah, but I don't know. But I'd be interested to whether that's something if you've got other people find try and ask around, see if anybody else has experienced that, because
God, that's a horrible thought.
Yeah. But it's not like steroids have messed with that. You want to look at it almost like the reproduction is a non-essential part of life, right? Part of the individual's life. So just like digestion is, if you are in fight or flight mode, then your body's like, no, it doesn't matter if my digestion's working, does it? Because I might immediately, it's a life or death scenario. So reproduction is the same, periods the same. So in an extreme stress, periods can just stop happening.
Yeah.
So it could be that your body's saving its energy and focusing on somewhere else. So I would be interested to find out whether other people having those similar things, if they're going through TSW, it'd be an interesting question to ponder. Yeah, ask. Definitely. So yeah, I would just look at it like that, not like the steroids have messed with my reproductive system.
Yeah, well, I think it was happening before I cut them out, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
whether it's
worth pondering. You never know.
Yeah, but I say that I've been trying to cut them out for years, so my body's been tormented by me kind of yo-yoing, TSWing, and then I didn't know what it was. People would say to me on my blog a photo of me and say, you've got topical steroid addiction, and I'd be like, looked it up and was like, no way, I'm not doing that. For years I was like, no, I can't live without them, just can't do it, I'm not brave enough, not strong enough.
And look at you go now.
I've done it. I couldn't carry on with them. They just wanted me on more and more, and they wanted me on oral steroids, and they make me so ill. My body was just screaming at me.
Yeah.
Just can't take them anymore.
And how long have you been without steroids now?
1 year, 4 months.
1 year, 4 months. Awesome. You're doing really well.
Protopic was April last year that I cut that out, so a year off protopic, and I feel like that might have done more damage to my face. They didn't put much steroids on my face, but I think protopic might have done for my face.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some of those like more targeted creams.
It's immunosuppressant.
Yeah, very interesting, responses in the body and things like that. Again, we're all unique, aren't we? So,
Yeah, because it makes your skin burn when you use it, and you can't go in the sun because that burns too much. It's like, what is it doing actually? It's not good, is it?
No,
So I'm sure it will recover. I hope it recovers.
it will recover. Of course it will. Our bodies we're all Wolverines, right? If anybody's into the kind of superhero kind of thing, right? We're all Wolverine. Our body naturally heals itself. We just got to give it the right stuff. We just don't do it as quickly. Certainly not as quickly as Wolverine, but
it's incredible how it's always trying to make itself better, and we ignore it, don't we? You keep drinking alcohol, even though its body tells you, I don't feel good when you do that to me.
Okay.
People still drink.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no. We're just trying to educating others, but we have to be ready to listen, because
I can still eat a whole bag of kettle chips and be like, oh, I'm still going to do it again. But at the time, I enjoy it.
I know, but that's
more like my lips, the salt. It's like, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's painful, but kind of a good pain. Anyway, we're a bit weird. I think no, we're quite normal. It's fine, absolutely fine.
But then I do that horrible thing where I put the grip back on a half-eaten 30-gram pack of crisps, and everyone else is like, what are you doing? Why haven't you finished them? Depends what mood I'm in.
I know, weird. That's weird. In my opinion, that's weird.
I have been told it drives people insane. They're like, you can have those. Can I have those?
Yeah, my mum does it. My mum will do that. She'll like open a bag of crisps and then she'll be like, we'll share these. I'm like, what do you mean share? What?
Yeah, my mum does that.
No, we're not sharing. I don't know. I just want to, because I don't know how time goes so quickly. But as any of you guys that are on the call, any questions that have come up, I know obviously we said at the start, but I know some of you jumped in afterwards, but if there's any questions,
it'd be nice to have some questions.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So when I have put, so if anybody watching this back, when you book on to join live on these, there's a little space for you to write any questions that you've got for us before we come into this. I did check before coming in, there was nothing on there for us. So I was like, awesome, we just free for all.
We've just answered every question they had.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I think, as I say, hopefully this has been useful to people. Any feedback would be, greatly received. And yeah, hopefully it's been eye-opening. But
I found that really interesting, because I have done a fair bit of research, like just realizing that nothing in the shops. I can remember going around trying different things and nothing is working, nothing feels right. I can't find anything natural, and so you have to go to these more individual companies which you may not find in Superdrug or Boots. So I would buy stuff online most of the time. I have seen green people in some of the bigger. So green people, I recommend people just purchase from I've got Natural Dispensary, and so I have like a client code basically. So I'll pop this on the bottom of the video, so if anybody wants to take a look at their products and Natural Dispensary, you've got a little 20% discount on that if you want, because I know it's expensive. So actually, there's a company that I used to buy hemp soap from, and that's really good.
Yes, hemp again, very, very good, very natural. But always check, I suppose, don't necessarily feel like you've got to go to big stores. A lot of small producers that might grow stuff in their garden and make like small batches of things. So if you've got somebody down the road that is like a natural skincare producer and they tell you what's in it, get that. If it works for you, get a little tester, get that, use it, brilliant, because that is going to be so much cleaner and a lot less, more environmentally friendly as well. A lot less transport, a lot less, what's the word, carbon footprint on that as well. We're
Yeah,
looking
they do
holistically at
actually.
everything.
This was my friend made, as you can see the hand done label. So my friend made me some skincare, and I was really scared to use that as well. But it's all been,
Amazing.
all of these ingredients we've been talking about are what she used.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You can make it your own. I don't think I've probably got the time, but
Yeah, I mean, you know, if somebody is like really stressed out, or you know, they want something, I think making your own skincare product could be very therapeutic. If you've got a garden and you're growing things like calendula, you know, marigolds, you know, you might have some sort of St. John's wort, you've got
it's you
other
control, doesn't it?
yeah.
Got a brilliant book actually called, I think it's called Grow Your Own Drugs by that
James
Wong.
Yes.
Brilliant. He's got some recipes in there for eczema skincare. It's a really interesting book.
Yeah, I saw he did there was a TV show in the UK, and I watched it.
Yeah.
So it's so easy. A lot of these things are really easy to do, but you just have to take the time to figure out how to do it. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I'd love to kind of get involved in all that, but actually I just, you know, I don't have time. I love
I'm doing too much else.
digging into other things. So yeah, like one day.
When someone else is making it for you, just
Yeah.
you can afford it.
No, but that's you know, that's how like we come together as a community and you know, work together to do these kind of things, right? Because somebody is going to absolutely thrive on making this stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to really light them up, and they're going to absolutely love it. For me, I love digging into the science and understanding how, like, what's going on, why is that working and why is that not working, and to me that's the most fascinating thing. So I'm not going to
using plants for years, haven't they?
Yeah.
And we just get these lessons.
Why is marigold good? Why is St. John's wort good? Why, you know, and I'm just like, oh, that lights me up basically.
Exciting.
Yeah. But somebody else will be like, oh God, Rebecca, that's like the most boring thing. But we've all got different skill sets, we've got different things we bring to the table.
No, it fascinates me as well. I have met a woman, I think she's called the Infusionist, and she makes her own really lovely skincare products, but they're quite expensive. That's the only thing when you buy from smaller producers. But I think that's why I like this brand, Lionsleaf, because they do make their own. They grow all their own crops. They've got a farm.
Nice.
So I kind of like that concept. I know that it's organic. They've got organic certification, and they're English.
Yes, and I've used their stuff as well before. So I've used their calendula again. Beautiful product. Really, really nice, really clean. Skin Salvation from Bauman's as well.
Yeah.
Really nice. And Organi as well. So I did an interview with Hannah Pearson, who makes that. She formulated it and makes it again. The Organi skin.
Yeah, I haven't used that.
That's really nice as well. And she has a nice face oil too. So I will use my Green People one, but then I'll kind of alternate, and when I can get hold of Hannah's, then I'll use hers as well, because really nice combo in there. Just little facial oil. But yeah, there's a lot of little producers. So I encourage you guys, if you know of anybody local that's producing things, doesn't matter where you are in the world, please send the information our way, because we can collate it. And I mean, I'd love to have
just a big list of the good ones. Good place to look actually is the Free From Skincare Awards.
Yes.
Good thing to end on. I'm at I judge for them in final stages. I don't test the products just because they've got professional testers. But I go in and look at the products afterwards, and it's that's where I've learned a lot of this stuff. It's fascinating, because they have like a normal person. I do the problem like eczema skin category. They've got me who uses these kind of products, and then the lady that there's usually an expert there, and someone that looks at the formulation and whether it's actually good for the skin and what's in there that shouldn't be in there. Learning loads from that. Half of it goes over my head, but there are lots of kind of rules behind skincare.
Yeah, it's again, when I was listening to the lecture at the skin conference, you know, there's just the science that goes into these pharmaceutical products is fascinating. You know, but they are, again, that's, you know, it's like they're so focused on just the skin, and we're not just our skin.
No, there's lots of other things.
Yeah, we are everything. And so I think if you're stuck in that pharmaceutical sort of cycle, then, you know, don't beat yourself up about it. We just take baby steps,
just little
to try
steps,
and move
because
away.
this is not irritating my skin. So
Yeah.
I came to the conclusion that I'm making this, it's nice, making it nice for you. You don't have to, if you set yourself really big targets, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then you just don't succeed. So just
No,
make
no.
steps.
And it's, yeah, you don't want to suffer. You know, we don't want needless suffering in the, you know, in this pursuit. I certainly didn't when I came away from it. I just literally woke up one day and I was like, don't think I'm going to put my cream on today, because
Really?
I don't feel I need it. So from my perspective, I didn't force this. I didn't go through moisture withdrawal, you know, and I know some people rave about that, but I didn't go through that. I literally was just working from the inside out, and then one day I was like, don't think I feel I need it anymore. The next day, no, I don't think I need it today either, you know. So
It's so painful. Like, I get these splits. I can't open my mouth to eat, and I feel like if it's like that, if it's that bad, I'm going to use something that's really gentle and soothing to just help get the skin moving again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just absolute torture.
Yeah. And I think, you know, with everybody's
Everyone's different.
Everybody's different.
I think the using, definitely don't need to moisturize it when it's like that.
No.
It needs to dry out.
But yeah, hopefully this has been useful for people, gives them an idea of what we're doing. And yeah.
But I have just written a blog if anyone's interested in moisture withdrawal, and I'm about to add a really interesting video on that, which explains how to do it. So there is a good science behind why it works. So if anyone's interested,
cool,
that will be on my blog.
Amazing. Well, if you send me the link over, and then I can pop that in, so you know, people need to access.
It's fascinating, isn't it? What works for somebody and what works for someone else. Yeah,
it just shows it's like, you know, we've not been able to identify there's no one way of doing things, but we're not yet at a point where we can identify what means.
It's good if you could. You're like, right, you should eat this and you should do this and your skin will get better. Rather than this, like, try this.
Yeah, off you go. Report back. But that's what science is. You know, observation. You know, we all come together. If we can all report and collate this information, that's something else we're working on. But you know, if we can collate this and gather this information, and then we kind of like look at the patterns, then we get a better idea of how to move forward on this stuff. So, it's always interesting. Awesome. We should probably wrap up, because we can just keep going, as we say every week.
We better stop, otherwise we'll go rambling, or we'll go off on a tangent.
Yes, as ever. So so hopefully this has been useful for anybody. Thank you, Annalisa. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Bethany, for joining us. And if you guys have got any topics, we've kind of set stuff for June, July. If you guys have got any other specific things you want us to dig into, then please let us know. And likewise, any questions that come up. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Well, what are we talking about next week?
Can't remember.
Is it the itch scratch cycle?
Itch scratch cycle.
Oh, good.
Itch scratch cycle next week. Yes.
Brilliant. My favourite subject.
Yes.
The only thing I'm good at the moment.
Yeah, don't think yourself into the cycle, please. Just because I know that
get you just thinking about it.
Awesome. Right, well, I'm gonna click end on this, and I will see you guys next week.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye.